Allie?
All right, California is about to pass a law that allows a 12-year-old girl to get the HPV vaccine without parental approval. So what happened to parents' rights? Joining us for a fair and balanced debate on this topic is the co-author of Age of Autism, Mark Blaxill, and health journalist and patient advocate Lisa Fayed. Thanks so much for being here. Good morning to both of you. Mark,
Good morning.
I want to begin with you. You don't like this idea of vaccinating 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds without their parents' consent. Why?
Well, Allison, it's a very slippery slope from trying to defend the health of young children to taking decisions away from parents that ought to reside with their legal guardians, that ought to reside, giving decisions to federal bureaucrats that ought to reside with parents. This is a potentially risky vaccine, and the parents are legally accountable for any adverse events, adverse reactions that occur from the vaccine. Federal bureaucrats, government bureaucrats should not be making decisions for parents.
Lisa, we do know that there are vaccine injuries that happen from vaccines. Should parents know when their 12-year-olds are getting a medical treatment that could be risky?
Well, already in California and other states across the country, children are already receiving medical benefits that their parents aren't aware of: birth control, abortions, events where there could be a severe adverse reaction, even leading to death, like in cases of abortion.
So
and parents
shouldn't
aren't
their
aware
parents know about that? Lisa?
Yes?
Shouldn't parents? You're making the case that there are risky things that 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds are experiencing. Shouldn't their parents know about those?
Well, I think parental consent starts in the home. Every day our teenagers are doing things to risk their health. They're having sex, they're experimenting with drugs, they're acting cavalier. If we have an open line of communication with our children, then this bill should not threaten parents. For example, we have, let's say, a 13-year-old girl has a good communication line of communication with her mother. She comes home, Mom, I've heard about the vaccine.
Sure.
I want to get it.
Sure, but not all, as we know, not all 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds do have those open lines of communication. Let me read to you the statement by the Assemblywoman in California who introduced this bill. And Mark, I want to get you to respond to this. Here's what she says. This bill will save lives by ensuring that teens receive vaccinations against these diseases, which cannot be cured once they're contracted. America was able to eliminate polio in the 1950s through vaccination, saving thousands of lives. AB 499, which is the bill, will help us do the same for sexually transmitted diseases. Mark, isn't the idea that girls could avoid cervical cancer enough to trump your fears of vaccine injury?
Well, the vaccine in question is targeted to cervical cancer, but what it most directly does is provide vaccination against human papillomavirus. There's a theory that human papillomavirus or prevention of HPV can prevent cervical cancer, but we won't know whether that's true for several decades.
Okay.
And in the meantime, the real adverse reactions to this vaccine are happening today.
Lisa,
there are
your
over 100
response,
reports. There are over 100 reports of deaths to Gardasil and Cervarix vaccines already, and so the risks are real. The benefits are theoretical.
I'd like to interject.
Go ahead, Lisa. What is your response to that?
Okay, over the past 5 years of Gardasil being distributed, over 35 million doses have been distributed. Only 18,000 accounts of adverse effects have been reported. Now, as far as adverse reports, we're not talking about 18,000 deaths or even serious events requiring hospitalization.
Of course, but 100 deaths is certainly a notable number, and I think to Mark's point, it would be certainly something that parents would like to know that risk before their children engage in it. But
certainly.
Obviously, this is an important debate, whether or not the chance to eliminate cervical cancer outweighs all of that. We will continue to talk about this, and we appreciate you both coming on. Mark Blaxill and Lisa Fayed, thanks so much for the debate this morning.
My pleasure.
Thank you.